Welcome to our presentation about Advance Parole hosted by Amigo. Just to give you guys a quick little history on how our name was generated. The word friend in Spanish is amigo, as we all know, or most of us know, and immigration together, it is Amigo, and that is how our name was created. Before we get started, I'd like to introduce ourselves and our organization, and we'd like to make a disclosure that the information provided today is not to be taken as legal advice. We highly recommend you book a consultation with your specific needs with us after the presentation is over or an experienced legal provider. Hi, everyone. We're Amigo team, a team of volunteers that aim to help individuals navigate the U.S. immigration system. I'm Patricia Robledo, also known as Patty, and I hold the title of Advocacy Director. I will monitor today's workshop, and I'd like to introduce to you Maggie Bett, our founder of the organization. Maggie Bett.
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Patty. Amigo was created on areas that affect our immigrant communities. Our current areas of focus are in-person, mobile, and virtual services, so we can create access to working class families who are often working during normal office hours. We also have extensive legal immigration services, meaning that we provide assistance with other branches that involve immigration matters, such as the National Visa Center. We often also go to distribute resources where the community is. And during COVID-19, we began fundraising to assist those excluded from benefits and relief.
Today's agenda. Basically, for today's agenda, we will cover all basics of Advance Parole, which is understanding what Advance Parole is, what the general requirements are, understanding the 3 categories, how to apply, useful tips, and the personal reflection behind the process. What is Advance Parole?
So Advance Parole is a process that non-citizens can request, and if approved, they receive permission to re-enter the US after temporary travel. This is a process that is a part of the government's broader authority to parole, or in other terms, allow someone into the US based on their discretion. So the USCIS issues an advance parole travel document to travelers before they depart the US. While these travelers may use this document to travel back to the US entry, the US is dependent upon the discretion of the CBP officer at the port of entry.
Who is eligible for advance parole?
So there's several individuals who could be eligible for advance parole. We've listed some examples. For example, if you have a pending I-485 application to adjust status, this is also the application known as to obtain a green card. If you have temporary protective status, TPS, have been granted a T or U non-immigrant visa, if you have been granted humanitarian parole, if you've applied for asylum to come into the US and have been admitted as a refugee or asylee, have been granted benefits under the Family Unity Program. I'd also like to mention that in some rare occasions, individuals who are outside of the United States may be able to advance parole for urgent humanitarian reasons, such as a sick relative or for a funeral. Oftentimes, the sick relative or the member that has deceased is a US citizen. And you can also be paroled under significant public benefit, such as testifying for a criminal matter. So I'd like to mention that we mentioned this today because it's important that you know this process. This process isn't only limited to DACA recipients.
This is included today because with the group of DACA recipients, news travels a lot faster. And some of us could have parents or relatives who can benefit from advance parole as well.
But for the purposes of today's informational AP session, we're just going to be discussing DACA.
Who grants advance parole?
The USCIS, also known as the United States Citizenship and Immigration Service, is within the U.S. Department of Homeland Security, adjudicates applications for advance parole.
What are the 3 categories for advance parole?
So there are 3 categories for advance parole. 1, humanitarian reason, and it is the most popular request, employment-related matters, and educational purposes. So we'll begin with the humanitarian first. Humanitarian reasons is to obtain a travel document based on the need for medical treatment for oneself, or if you're visiting a sick relative or assisting a relative in any upcoming treatments, if you're attending a family member's funeral or visiting a recently deceased family member's grave. For the purposes of humanitarian parole, USCIS does take a medical letter signed by a doctor or a letter from the treatment clinic signed by the hospital director, doctor. We can also take documentation from dental or medical professionals showing the need for treatments. We also take letters from medical professionals or a hospital documenting the ill relative's condition. And lastly, the death certificate of a family member. We do have an optional requirement if you want to draft your own statement for your need to travel, or a family member statement explaining the need to travel.
The second category, which makes you eligible for advance parole, is education. Applicants should show why the travel abroad is required or beneficial for educational purposes. What is needed is an official letter from an educational program confirming enrollment, describing the purpose and dates of the program, and explaining how the program is required or beneficial for the applicant. A document showing enrollment in the courses registered, an acceptance letter from the university and overseas institution program, a letter from a professor describing academic research to be conducted.
And lastly, employment-related reasons. Applicants need to show how the travel abroad fulfills their job requirement. This means that they need to get a letter from an employer detailing the need to travel abroad, confirmed attendance for a conference program, invitation to speak at a conference or training, emails or other communication showing need for applicant to be present at an interview or meeting abroad.
We want to stress the importance of choosing the category that best suits you and your situation, and provide any of the supporting evidence we just mentioned.
Something really important that I'd like to mention today is that there is a way to skip the line if you are having an emergency request. This means that you will be calling the USCIS call center and requesting an InfoPass appointment. By stating InfoPass appointments, you kind of just direct your call to a USCIS representative who will then schedule an appointment for you to go in and present your package in with an officer. Once you get approved, you will be able to travel abroad immediately without having to wait.
how do I apply for advance parole?
So in order for you to apply for advance parole, we should, fill out the form I-131, which is the advance parole application. And we also suggest filling out form G1145, which is the e-notification form. And they're both available and downloadable for free at uscis.gov. So you do not have to pay anyone for these forms. And then you should attach a letter for humanitarian or educational or employment related reasons. We also highly recommend that you write a personal statement explaining the purpose of travel. We also attach a copy of the most recent DACA approval notice, which is a really thick letter that you receive once they approve your case for deferred action. And this notice is called Form I-797, Notice of Action. And in order for us to prove that we're also approved for a work permit under this category, we do need a copy of your card. And we also need a copy of this from back and front of the card. We need 2 passport size photos, 2 by 2, a valid travel document, especially if you plan to travel by plane. It is not necessary to file, but we highly suggest that you do include a copy if you're going to be flying overseas. Sadly, there is no fee waiver for this process, so everybody that makes this request needs to pay $575 personal check, cashier's check, money order, and it's payable to the U.S. Department of Homeland Security. There's a really neat option now where USCIS is allowing you to fill out a credit card form under G1450. This credit card form allows people to use a credit card, which is pretty neat because before people used to borrow money from relatives or be tricked into these loans when, now they don't have to do that. They can just go directly to a credit card provider. So that's really neat. And overall, in order for you to present this package, we also suggest that you write a cover letter explaining all the attachments that you're enclosing for this request. We do offer free checklists. This checklist is simplified and it does cover everything that we just mentioned. And it's available in person at our office Monday through Friday, 10 to 8, Saturday, 11 to 3. Or you can simply send us an email and we'll respond back with that free checklist.
As an advocacy director and a DACA recipient myself, I'd also like to note that this is a very emotional process, and we do encourage you take your time to reflect on your trip, post-trip, during your trip, before your trip. Make sure that you understand your feelings are valid and you are allowed to have feelings. Make sure you understand that advance parole can heavily benefit all of us. And at the end of the day, I understand that, being part of the undocumented community can bring an emotional burden, but we are human and our feelings are most definitely valid. So just, take some time to make sure that you're in a good mental health space. And if you need any support, we're more than happy to, be here for you guys, answer any questions, give any advice, recommendations, just hit our line. Thank you so much for being here. Do want to pass this over to Maggie Beth to close off the presentation today.
So this organization exists to meet your needs. So if you have any further questions, if you'd like us to file your case, please reach out. We're here. Our office is open for your needs. So if you can meet with us to discuss your case. We'd love to hear from you. And again, that free checklist is available. Thank you so much.